Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Mike Reviews It All. We've got Ryan Savage here with me this week, and we're just going to get into this North Korea thing here. What the hell's going on there, Ryan? What do you think about all this?
Korea is insane, and we have an insane leader of our own, so it's not going to end well. I mean, your country doesn't, you don't tell a country we're going to come at you with fire and hell fury like likes of which you've never seen. That's not a great way to negotiate, just calm things down.
Yeah, it kind of seemed to me like he was kind of trying to have like a Harry Truman-esque moment with the whole atomic bomb thing, and a lot of people have speculated as to what weapon he might be talking about.
True.
And Kim Jong Un, of course, responds, okay, we're going to attack Guam by the end of August, because he's just as nuttier than Trump.
Yeah.
And
the thing about Truman was at least a statesman. He'd been a politician for many years, so he kind of knew how to actually talk to people without saying, fuck you, boom. As opposed to Captain Troll Doll Orange Hair, who just wants to scream it, I can yell louder so I'll win. No. I'm hoping for love of God, somebody's keeping that guy with the nuclear football a few more feet away from him than the last guy.
I hope so. I can't remember who this new general is, but there's a guy that just came in. He's got a little bit of respect on both sides, and he's supposedly going to calm him down a little bit.
He's a good bipartisan, general. But Trump's just rotating so many people through his cabinet and circle. I think he's had 4 different press secretaries now. There was
Sean Spicer.
Spicer, the Mooch, and now the other guy.
Oh God, the Mooch. I wish you would have kept the Mooch though. At least that you wanted honesty. You people wanted honesty.
Yeah.
And the Mooch gave you honesty.
And Trump was like, "No, I'm more honest. Go." And
yeah,
he was press secretary for like 2 days.
Yeah, well, when you talk about Steve Bannon wanting to suck his own cock, that's a conversation we can't have with Garth here. Sorry, Garth.
Yeah.
But it's the news, so we're going to report it.
It is news. Well, yeah. So apparently, North Korea they were doing missile tests and they were threatening something. They just want attention. Korea is such an insignificant, doesn't matter country. North Korea. South Korea is actually really cool. North Korea, they offer nothing, they export nothing, they import all of their goods. They're even shorter than the average Asian. North Koreans this is a fact, this is a scientific fact, are shorter than South Koreans due to malnutrition and diet. So if, this is how tall a South Korean is, this is how tall a North Korean is. Even their Korean is different because they've been so isolated for so long. The ones that have escaped and gotten over the wall or under the wire, or whatever you want to call it, they get to these little refugee centers, and the South Koreans are like, I can't understand you. So it's like someone from up here talking to someone from the deep south, going like, no.
They don't feed. Yeah, they don't feed them. He totally enslaves them. So
they march them out for May Day parades, like Soviet-style May Day parades. They make you go to there. You're enforced to go.
He literally he wants the respect of a Mussolini or a
Hitler.
Yeah, I was trying not to use that word, but Stalin. Yeah, I don't know if he's quite to that level yet.
He's a dictator.
He definitely wants to be there.
Yeah, he enjoys what he does. I mean, no one gives up being a dictator. No one's been like, you know what? I think my people should have freedom. You're like, no, I rule everything. Why would I want to stop?
Yeah, well, I mean, he could use the power of his own people. I was reading this thing. There's North Korean expert Leonid Petrov. He's written a book recently. You've heard of him?
I've seen him. I think I saw him on Vice News.
Okay. Well, he's done a lot of studies, I know, on North Korea over the years. I believe he's been close or spent just a little bit of some hot water. Definitely been in some hot water in his visits between North Korea and South Korea. But he also says, what I found interesting is that North Korea is sitting on about $6 trillion in iron, gold, magnesium, zinc, copper, limestone, and graphite. This is according also to the Business Insider. And 90% of their trade has been with China.
Yeah.
So that explains why China is so protective.
Yeah, well,
of them.
I mean, that's the thing, is because I think China is their only ally.
And they're even starting to lose patience with them.
Yeah, because China's part communist, kind of, sort. It's capital communist. Like after Mao died, they were all like, you know, and they kind of got their shit a little bit more, leading to the Western, you know, hemisphere's version of how to do stuff. So they're communist, but like communist light, like, you know, like clear diet Pepsi or something, you know.
Yeah, I can't remember who said it now, but I think they said it well. Socialism.
Yeah.
Great system, wrong species.
Yeah.
When you put the human element in there, there is no perfect system. I mean, we've proven that you can corrupt capitalism just as easy as any other system.
All the isms are wrong. They all have their faults. They all have their flaws. Communism is a good idea in theory. Just like in theory, I might be able to fly if I jump off a building. I won't know till I try.
Yeah, but it's probably not a very good idea.
The longest lasting communist country has been Cuba. I mean, Russia, boom, done, stopped being commies in the 90s. All those little Soviet bloc countries just, you know, left it alone. China's mellowed out. Cuba's still like, hey, you know, we're still communist, but, you know, we're mellowed out now. You know, Castro's dead or dying.
Yeah.
And so we're allowed to, like, visit Cuba now.
Yeah, I've heard some mixed things about that. I'm not sure if Trump has his way, that's going to keep going on.
True. But even I have to give this to Cuba. During the Hurricane Katrina thing, when like the whole, you know, they got wiped out, and there was that whole West Coast, the last, you know, East Coast, you know, natural disaster happened. Cuba's like, hey, we've got a shit ton of doctors. We're willing to send you a bunch of doctors because you're overstressed, you guys are overtaxed, your resources are low right now because you're in a disaster zone. They offered up help. They were like, hey, you know, we send people there all the time, but we'll send them there voluntarily now.
See, I didn't realize that. It's like I watch more news than I care to, and I never seen that.
Yeah.
So it's like that's not front page news, and that's the kind of things that we should be hearing, but we're not hearing about communist countries because they're our enemy or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we hear a lot of other untruthful things about them. But I mean, how would we go about? Do we go about taking out Kim Jong Un? Do we go about going to war with North Korea?
I mean, we did it once, and that's the reason why we're in this fuck up, because we got there, and then we stopped halfway and said, okay, well, let's be done now. When we should have just kept driving all the way to the fucking top and just had been one big Korea thing. That's how I feel. That's what MacArthur wanted to do, and he damn near did it. He drove him straight up to at one point, but then, you know, China got involved and flooded, like, you know, 3 million fucking troops in there and shot us back down to the parallel.
And that was a big part of it. And also North Korea was backed by Russia at the time.
By Russia, they realized, and we were worried about, like, okay, Russia has the bomb now, thanks, you know, Rosenberg's.
Most people don't know that's considered the start of the Cold War also.
Pretty much, yeah.
The Korean War. That was the first actions.
It was the first ideology action of like, okay, communists versus capitalism fighting it out, but not. It was two superpowers basically, you know, getting two kids in the background to go play and fuck around with each other.
Definitely, but they lost 5 million civilians and troops in the span of 3 years. Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably a lot of the reason we didn't continue to go on. But back to MacArthur, you're right. He had that genius move. He brought in an amphibian assault I believe it was just north or south of Seoul. It was close to Seoul. The North Koreans had actually taken over Seoul, capital of South Korea, and he brings these ships around, cuts off their supply line, takes it back over.
It's in there the one day of the month where they could have gotten heavy draft vessels in there, snuck in there under the cover of no moon, and just pincer moved around him and cut him off.
Yeah, that's an underestimate.
I used to remember the name of that port that he used, but I want to say Incheon, but that's their main name. That's their big, usable all the time port. But it'll come to me because I forever am watching History Channel, not History Channel, but Military Channel, History Channel, military shit. I go to sleep listening to like World War II crap just because it's for some reason comforting to me to hear about, you know, dive bombings and Nazis.
See, Ryan always knows more about these things than I do, and I end up doing research, and I actually have notes here. He has none.
I've never believed in studying before a test. I just use applied learning or absorbed knowledge. Plus, my grandfather was also in the Korean War.
So was mine.
Yeah, he was a POW, escaped, got out, you know, got really fucked up. And they were like, okay, we're going to send you home now. And he's like, no, I don't want to go home. Well, what do you want to do? I want to beat up sailors. So he became an MP in Japan for a couple of years and was just like, oh, good, drunk sailor guy. Bang.
They just don't make people like that anymore. They don't make very many of them.
No, he was an awesome dude. I think he got a Purple Heart twice, Bronze Star. Wow. Took out a tank. I mean, I know there's a photo of him holding like a rocket launcher sitting on an overturned hull of a T-34 tank somewhere. So
that is awesome.
He's a cool dude.
That is very awesome. Yeah.
So that's why I'm a little bit more passionate about the Korean War thing, because for one, it's also one of the things known as the Forgotten War, because there was like everybody remembers World War II, Vietnam, Korea happened.
Well, 5 million people in 3 years. I mean, yeah, it was short, but my grandfather, the coolest story that comes out from my grandfather is he was in a foxhole, and there's, everybody's getting shot everywhere. There's grenades going everywhere, and he's in this foxhole. Nothing's coming near this foxhole. I mean, he's got the greatest foxhole. He's got the greatest foxhole ever, people. But that's my Trump impression. But anyways, one of his commanders comes in, and literally his own commander puts a gun to his head and says, "Get out of that foxhole or I'm going to kill you." So he gets out of the foxhole, and it was about 5 minutes later, a grenade went into the foxhole and killed the commander.
Damn.
So yeah, that's like one of the big kind of like full tell stories in our family.
That's karma right there.
Oh yeah,
instant karma. It's nice when you see instant karma as opposed to like years down the road.
Yeah, that was very instant. He had to think.
The Korea thing is, it's going to be so hard to deal with this diplomatically, because we have Trump, who's not a good politician. He's just a loudmouth businessman. We've got a crazy little short guy who's trying to develop nuclear weapons, and there's just going to be so much sound bites and Twitter clips and animosity going back and forth, where we're going to have to try and find some other intermediary needs to come in. Like, we need to bring Germany in to be like, okay, we pissed them off twice, and it didn't work out well for us. Don't do that.
Well, they're talking about World War III, and we're getting Germany, China, and Russia in here. This is sounding awful reminiscent.
Yeah, the nice thing is, though, that Germany and Japan are actually our allies in this one. So
yes.
Like, hey,
yeah, that is good.
We learned not to pick on this kid, so we're going to be his friend. Japan, and in response to some of this, Japan, they're getting a military back again.
Oh yeah.
For 70 plus years, they've had the SDF, the Self Defense Force, which is basically the army, but it's small. It's kind of like a peacekeeping force. They rewrote their constitution, and they're like, we need a military again because of all this crap that keeps going on. So they're getting their own army back again, which I think is good, because.
So we had an agreement with them for World War II that they would not spend over 1% of their total GDP on military, for anybody that doesn't know that. So did we rewrite an agreement with them?
I think there was just enough time had passed for, like, because they voluntarily, but they went to MacArthur when he was, basically Emperor of Japan for a few years, and were like, you need to take away our ability to make war, because if you don't, we're going to do it again, and it's just bad. But it's been, 70 years, and I think there's an expiration date on certain agreements,
Well, yeah, probably, and I think that's one of them. I can't imagine us fighting that much, especially as good of an ally as Japan has been.
Yeah, they've been,
since we decimated, a few of their towns.
And besides, they're going to have giant fighting robots. I mean, who doesn't want that to be seen? Pacific Rim is going to happen. Gundams are going to get built, and then that'll scare the shit out of Korea, because for one, they don't have anything more high-tech than a toaster.
Back to MacArthur for a minute. I think it's important to talk about now, just as far as like the UN and as powerful as some world leaders are getting. Like you were talking about, I mean, he was practically like god of war at that time. He was given the title of UN Supreme Commander.
Yep.
So I mean, basically, he controlled the world's military.
Yep.
And that's a lot of power, and a lot of people have a lot of animosity towards him, or a lot of respect, depending on your point of view. But
I like MacArthur because he's a little bit of a loudmouth. He was very grandiose, and he was very much into himself. And
McCarthyism.
Yeah, MacArthurism. I mean, he even ran for president in '48, and almost kind of won, but it was it was too soon after the war, because people were like, oh, we don't want a warmongering president, so let's. But then, Korea comes up and we're like, yeah, bring Mac back and get him to go.
Yeah.
And then, he was actually talking to Truman one time, during the whole Korean War thing. He was like, I have no intentions of ever running for office again, Mr. President. the only general you have to worry about is Eisenhower. And he was like, oh, that's funny. Eisenhower will never be president. Eisenhower was president for 2 terms. And the best aide I ever had, according to MacArthur.
Eisenhower, from everything I've seen, I think was a pretty good president.
I liked Ike. You know, Ike did a good job, and he again warned us about the military-industrial complex, which is kind of why we're in this quagmire we're in right now.
Yeah. I mean, what major country don't we have troops in? There's not any left.
Iran.
As far as we know.
True.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure we have, and we've infiltrated every government. I have no doubt.
We've got bases everywhere, and that's kind of why we're a little. You know, some part of the Middle Eastern world hates us because they're like, oh, you've got bases on holy land. I was like, it's sand.
Yeah, I mean, you have $6 trillion now, counting since 2000, in accounting errors at the Pentagon.
Yeah.
That's like a quarter of the national debt.
Yeah.
Or a third of the national debt, whatever you want to. How can you not account for $6 trillion? You got some shitty accountants.
Yeah.
And why isn't anyone in jail if we don't know where $6 trillion is?
Right.
But I mean, what do you think? We just go in there. We get that guy from Canada. I don't know if you heard about this guy from Canada that broke the world record. He can snipe somebody from 2 miles away.
Oh yeah, the Canadian guy. He got him. Yeah, I saw the thing on that, on the sniper thing. I forget his name.
2 miles.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
Yeah, because we lost our best guy to some nut job who he was trying to help out. So that would be Chris Kyle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If anybody has seen American Sniper,
the one they made the movie on.
That's the one they made the movie on. Our best one before that was Carlos Hathcock with 93 confirmed kills.
Yeah, but I say you just get a few of those guys. You take out Kim Jong Un. You take out his top 4 generals. And these people are malnourished slaves.
Yeah.
What's the difference between these people and the first time we went into Iraq when they just threw their hands up and said, please feed us?
Right.
I think you're going to run into a similar situation.
Yeah. Only problem is we can infiltrate into, we can infiltrate in every damn country and pretty much blend in. Problem is, we're kind of going to stand out a bit in Korea. So it's going to be hard for it to... Yeah,
we would. It is very hard to get in there.
Because it's going to take a long time for one just to find him, get him out in the open, figure out his schedule, do his thing. Because they have like layers upon layers of like just onion security around this fucking guy. Plus, of course, he's an insane dictator, so he's got body doubles that they like surgically alter to just look like him.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, there's obviously multiple levels to this thing, but I mean, assuming we did take him out and they're 4 generals, I mean, I think the people are actually pretty happy about it. I say if you can take all these people out and then you just immediately surround them with troops, I mean from the sky, from the ground, from the water, everywhere, but you don't shoot a shot.
No, you just...
Even if you see a shot from them, you don't shoot anything.
Just a mass influx of boom, we're here now.
Yeah, and I think everybody just puts their hands up and says, okay, what do you want us to do?
That's a thought. The problem is I'm not sure now how much of this is they've been such a controlled and mind controlled country where they're told to believe that this man does not defecate. He eats everything, whatever he eats, it's just his body all absorbs, or he like craps gold. It's one of those 2 things where it's like the supreme leader does not defecate, he does not urinate, anything he consumes is just magics away, or it comes out gold.
Do you think he has like one of those little bags in his pants and he's just like pissing himself all the time?
It's possible, I don't know.
Colostomy bag.
But they've been so conditioned and brainwashed where I'm not quite sure if I'm sure there's a good 50-50 split of those that are like, yeah, it's all bullshit, we know that. But there's probably also the other like radical half that's like, it's all true. So you're gonna find those guys who are like, oh yes, we give up, and then they pull the grenade out and jump at you,
Yeah, possibly. I think one of the biggest mistakes they made is they killed too many people and they went too far on people for the ridiculous things like not showing enough sorrow over the death of Kim Jong Un.
Or not having enough pictures in your home of the supreme leader.
Yeah,
it's a mandate. It was like in fucking Iraq. Everybody had to have a portrait of Saddam Hussein in their house. Everybody had to have a portrait of Stalin in their home in Russia.
Yeah, and when you force people to do things that are so ingenuine, and they know it's ingenuine because they're forced to do it, I'd like to think you're dealing with a different situation. You're definitely dealing with a different situation than like where you have the Sunnis and the Shiites, and you have a religious situation.
Yeah.
That's what you don't want to get into.
No. Thankfully, they don't have a religion. Their supreme leader is their religion.
Yeah, I mean, maybe get Dick Cheney in there. He can figure out how to monetize any war, don't get me wrong.
If you get Dick Cheney in there, he'll just become the next dictator guy.
Oh, God, it's like we were talking about the Korean War. 3 years, and you lost, 5 million people. Iraq and Afghanistan have been going on for 20 years. Why? Because we've learned how to monetize war. We put the CEO of a frickin' military complex, Halliburton. Some people don't even realize that Dick Cheney was the fucking CEO of Halliburton, and then they end up and they get all these military contracts.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. Well, look, Halliburton's taking care of everything over there. And then they got in trouble for it, and they had to start petering it out to little other companies and shit.
Oh, yeah, and it's just so much stuff got outsourced. I mean, you want to talk about disrespect of troops. I know somebody that was over there. He served 9 terms in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I was talking to him one time on the phone, and he goes, Mike, good news is, it says we don't have to clean out our showers and scrub, the barracks and anything anymore.
Yeah, you don't got to do laundry, you don't got to peel potatoes, you don't got to do any of that, like, PT stuff that you'd like, oh, okay, well, you fucked up, pile, so you're on potato peeling duty. That's gone.
Yeah, but then he tells me, so the people that are cleaning the barracks are making more money than he is.
Yeah.
As he's getting shot at. And it's like, that's complete disrespect of the troops. Besides the fact, after 9 terms in Iraq and Afghanistan, he got screwed over by a little guy, a joint effort. You like your bipartisanship of a stimulus bill between Obama that Paul Ryan happily signed off on and stuck this little thing in there that said we're going to do some military cuts, and they cut half of his position, and because he had earned the highest rank at that position, he lost his 15-year military career because of budget cuts. But
yeah,
so that's.
I mean, there was they hired contracted truck drivers just to drive semi trucks and during the supply convoys. We're getting paid $50,000 a month to do it. And I thought about almost doing that, but I was like, I need body armor, and do they let me carry a gun too? Because if they let me do that, then I'd go.
I'm glad I wasn't offered, because I'd probably been gone. I still don't have a healthy fear of things. Not everything's always connecting all the time up here, but my dad's been into RC planes before they were drones. They were kind of the first drones. He's been flying them forever. He was an airplane mechanic. He's always been around them, so he was offered contracts to go to Iraq and Afghanistan.
Pilot drones.
Oh, yeah, and they offered him, ungodly sums of money. But, it was like an 18-month contract. He wasn't guaranteed his job when he came back, so he decided not to do it. But I can't imagine he would have been much worse than the people that are over there right now. Have we ever mentioned what the accuracy rate is on drones?
No, but it's supposed to be fairly good.
90% civilian casualty.
Oh.
10% of the time under Obama we hit our targets.
Well, it's probably because their intel was wrong. It was like, oh yeah, that's a terrorist cell. No, that's a stroller. Oh shit, signal lost. It struck. Who wants coffee?
Yeah, and they definitely do. To be fair, they definitely hide behind their civilians and.
Oh, they always do.
Things like that. They've done that for years, and then they're the first ones to somehow. I'm sure there are a lot of these unnamed sources that are doing the reporting on all these civilians that were killed, and who knows how many times they actually even were civilians.
Yeah, there's this really good movie. I don't think it even was in theaters, but I saw it on cable a while back, and it's either Kevin Bacon or Christian Slater is the guy in it. And it's basically drone pilots, like in Nevada. They're in the Nevada desert in these air-conditioned, basically shipping containers where they're flying all their missions and shit. And he used to be a pilot, and he's like, I'd really like to get back to flying again. And he's just like, no, you're really good at this, so we're just going to sit you there, and you just, fly, taking off from Turkey, going over here, 30 minutes to target. And it just burns this guy, because he's watching from, the satellite cam, and he's like, okay, loosed. And it's like, oh, fuck, there's children, there's a whole bunch of children running in there. Oh, there's a lady. And then it's like, well, you can't call it back. Sorry, it's gone. And so he just starts getting burnt and more burnt out and burnt out and burnt out, and like just becomes like a raging alcoholic, drinking 100 proof vodka like someone I know. And at the end, he's watching one of the satellite things, and he watches one of these like soldiers like basically rape this woman like every fucking day because they're observing this like compound. He's like, oh, just stay inside, lady, stay inside. And then the guy just comes in and does. And so at the end of the thing, he's just burnt out. He's gone. He like padlocks himself in the thing. He's like, okay, I'm waiting for the guy. He's waiting for because he's gonna take the guy the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because he's just lost his mind. This is all the war's become to him now. It's just like, I'm gonna at least stop this one guy. Because they keep getting like reports back like, oh yeah, you hit the target. Turns out it wasn't what we thought it was. But he's like, at least I know this guy's bad, so I'm gonna blow his ass away. And that's from like Nevada desert.
Yeah.
So it's becoming such a takeaway of like, we don't think of war in the same way we don't think of war as like storming the beaches anymore. We think of war as a push button video game damn near.
Well, and that's why I talk about the monetizing of war, and that's why I wasn't surprised. One of the first things that I found, I'm like, okay, we're talking North Korea. What's the ulterior motive? Oh, they happen to have $6 to $10 trillion in minerals that we need to make our fucking cell phones.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is more important than, 20 million North Korean lives. And if you don't believe that these companies would kill 20 million North Koreans to make their cell phones, you're living in an alternative universe.
Yeah.
Because they could give a shit less.
That is very true. But it's hard to figure out how this is gonna shake out. I mean, it seems like every other year, Korea does something, we all get a little like, oh, what's going to happen? Maybe they have nukes, maybe they don't. Oh, they've got international ballistic missiles that can reach Japan and possibly Hawaii. And then we all get frustrated, and then we like make some sort of sanction or whatever, and then it mellows out, and then it happens again.
Well, we had Patriot missiles in the early 90s. I mean, we were knocking these Scuds out of the sky. We would knock that missile out of the sky so fast, but we have these lasers now that are so much faster than missiles.
Yeah.
I mean,
and we're sending a battle fleet over to the Pacific to just sit off the coast and wait. So that's Arleigh Burke class destroyers, that's carriers, that's missile cruisers. They've all got really great ECM countermeasures and to blow shit the fuck out of the sky.
And I think Kim Jong Un's loving it. The more stuff he sees coming in, the more attention he's getting.
It's just a big attention thing. It's two bratty kids. It's Trump and Kim Il Sung, I think is
Kim Jong Un.
Well, Kim Jong Un was the one before, and now it's like Kim Il Sung, I think.
Okay, I don't know.
I think didn't Kim Jong Il die? He died.
I thought that was Kim. Yeah, Kim Jong Il died. That's what they were mourning, and I thought the son was Kim Jong Un.
I'm not.
But there's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple.
He's probably named Kim.
There.
That's right. But it's just there's two kids. It's a Trump and this guy just having a fun little media war right now.
Yeah, can't he just get like a Nike sponsorship or something and make him happy?
I don't know.
Can we put an Under Armour on him and everything's good to go? Get a couple $100 million.
Let's send Dennis Rodman back over there. He was really happy. Maybe he just wants his friend to come back again.
Why the hell was Dennis Rodman in North Korea? That was such a crazy thing. That was such a strange, weird thing. I'd like to go there, though. I love the movie, The Interview. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen The Interview.
I mean, it wasn't the greatest, like, cinematography thing ever, but, I mean, I thought it was funny just the way that they poked fun of him. You got a fake fat kid. You had a fake fat kid. That's my favorite line, but, I mean, that kind of stuff happens over there all the time.
Yeah.
I know... I don't think it's the American Red Cross. What's the international version of the American Red Cross?
UNICEF?
Might have been UNICEF.
Doctors Without Borders?
Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah.
They went in there and they're like, okay, we just want to feed these people.
Yeah.
So if you can show us 3 villages that people are being taken care of, well, we will feed your people and we'll give you this food. So they go into the first village, everything's great. They're like, awesome. They go to the second village, everything's great, awesome. They go to the third village, and they're like, something doesn't look right. This is the first village again.
Yeah.
And they just
moved stuff around.
Like it was another village, and they're just like, F you guys.
I know. It was like, if you watch that documentary about Rodman in Korea, they'd see the film crew was like, doing their own kind of like little thing where they're like, oh yeah, they're driving us around. There's all these giant buildings with lights on. There's nobody in them. There's no other cars around.
Can this guy get a Starbucks? Do you think he can get a coffee and everything bagel in the morning? You know,
I'm sure he like has them imported somehow.
Yeah.
He probably kidnapped a couple Starbucks employees and like make this, and then they do.
I just see him with like a plate of everything bagels with all the steak and cheese and all this stuff on it. And then I see his mocha, one of the ice mochas that's got about 5% coffee and 95% sugar.
And then I see him with like a big pair of binoculars as he's doing that, being like, "Oh look, starving people. It is good to be me."
It's hard for me to picture him like being above everyone and not having binoculars on. That's one of the first things that comes to mind.
Massive giant ones like you'd see in an old World War II movie. They're like, you know, this big and like the lenses are that huge. Like, oh, I fell over.
I would be interested to see their technology. It'd be
sad.
It'd be something else. I know that they're lacking in the mining abilities because that's why they're not able to get to all their gold and ore. Besides, besides all the financial sanctions that the entire world's put against them for being crazy.
You'd think since they're an ally with China, and China makes the whole. I mean, China's been building those 3 giant dams and all that. They've got tons of equipment. I don't understand why either Korea doesn't want it because they can't use it or get rid of it, or maybe they don't know.
Yeah, well, they've sold some of it to China in the past. They've been able to get some, but it's been very hard to excrete. That's just what I've read from Business Insider and the guy Petrov that we were talking about, the expert. And so that's secondhand information there. But there doesn't sound like they've been able to get to most of it, and obviously now they can't sell it. But if we can somehow feed those people and not kill a bunch of civilians, that's what I'd like to see come out of it.
Yeah, we could just like fill a big old Globe Master full of like top ramen packets. They cost like 5 cents, and just airdrop them over the thing. They're gonna fall fine, and they'll just be, even if they get smushed, they'll still be happy to eat it.
Yeah. It's got to be all beef though, because it's red, and that would just freak them out. That would freak out Kim Jong Un. Just all these red packets coming from the sky.
Or the chicken one, which is orange, so it's just raining orange.
That's true,
so they'd be like, "Oh no, Trump exploded above us."
Agent Orange, yeah.
Oh, dioxide.
Yeah. Well, with his ego, like his picture would have to be on every case of ramen. And the thumbs up. Trump ramen.
This is the best ramen flavor ever. I personally dip my penis in every single batch.
Well, I think, I don't know if we're any closer to solving the problems in North Korea, but I think we're going to leave it off to you guys in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Please hit a like and subscribe, and send us some money. That'd be great. No, just tell your friends to subscribe, share, and hopefully we'll get some revenue going out of this, and looking at a possible Patreon account soon, so be on the lookout for that. Thanks very much for tuning in. Have a great week, guys.